Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually we are wading through a stack of tech news or trying to make sense of a new scientific study. But
Right.
today feels different. We're marking a specific moment in time. It's Saturday, March 14th.
A very specific Saturday.
Exactly. And we are celebrating the 53rd birthday of author Nairi D. McQueen Edwards. But we're not just, sending a generic card. We are diving into the massive creative gift she has given the world to mark this occasion.
Happy birthday, Nairi. And you're right. The vibe today isn't a standard book review. It's not a critique.
No.
It feels more like we've been invited to sit on the porch for what the author calls a grown folks conversation.
I love that phrasing, grown folks conversation. It implies we aren't going to sugarcoat things.
Right.
We're pouring a metaphorical glass of something nice, sitting back and just unpacking a life's work. Specifically, we're looking at the Borrowed Brown Skin series, which is 4 novels.
Our distinct novels.
And the poetry companion, What I Could Not Hold.
It is a staggering amount of work to release. And frankly, at 53, that number is significant. This isn't the debut of a 20-something trying to guess what life is about.
Not at all.
This is the output of a woman who's lived it. We're talking about an arc that moves from this deep, silencing trauma to what I've just jotted down in my notes as earned joy.
Earn joy. I like that. That's the mission for today, then. We need to trace that arc. We're going to look at the protagonist, Raina, and how she moves from silence to standing.
Yeah.
We need to unpack the psychology of somatic memory, how the body remembers what the mind hides, and we definitely need to talk about the village that keeps her alive.
Oh, the village is key. But before we even get to the fictional world, we have to look at the architect. Because Nairi's background is, well, it explained everything about how these books feel to read.
Right. Looking at her bio, she's been preparing for this her whole life. She started dancing at age 3 and writing at age 11.
And that duality is just fascinating. I mean, think about it. Dancing is external. It's performative, it's physical, it's out in the open.
Right.
Writing, especially at age 11, is usually so secretive. It's internal.
It's diaries.
Exactly. And for Nairi, that diary started at 11. Over decades, those entries evolved into poems. And those poems eventually formed the skeleton of the novels we have now.
So when you pick up Borrowed Brown Skin, you're not reading a story she just dreamt up last year.
No. You are reading a lifetime of processing. She has been carrying Raina's story for over 40 years.
That context just changes the weight of every sentence. It's not just a plot, it's a testimony.
It really is.
And that brings us to the title of the series itself. Borrowed Brown Skin. When I first saw it, I'll be honest, I thought it was about code switching,
That's a reasonable guess, but the source material suggests something much more visceral. It's about bodily autonomy.
Or the theft of it.
Yes, the theft of it. Think about the word borrowed. If you are living in borrowed skin, it means you don't really own the vessel you're in.
Right.
It implies that your body has been defined by your ancestors, by your family's expectations, and tragically, by the people who have hurt you.
The trauma tenants.
Exactly. The trauma takes up space. The abusers take up space. And the journey of these 4 books is Raina fighting to evict those tenants and finally sign the deed to her own skin.
And this is where that dancer background we mentioned comes crashing in. Because Nairi is a dancer, so Raina the protagonist. She processes her world through movement. The writing style isn't just standard prose, it's rhythmic. It's almost sweaty. Is that the right word?
I'd say somatic.
Somatic. We hear that buzzword a lot in therapy circles, somatic healing. But how does that actually work in a novel?
Well, it means the story is told through the physical sensations of the body. The whole idea here is that the body remembers. You might intellectually repress a memory to survive. Your brain says, nope, we aren't thinking about that.
But your stomach remembers. Your shoulders remember.
Your skin remembers the temperature. The body is keeping the score, even when the mind is trying to watch a different channel.
And that friction between the mind trying to forget and the body refusing to, that's the engine of this whole series.
Precisely.
So let's map this out for everyone listening. We've got 4 books. And the titles themselves basically act as a clinical chart for this healing process.
It's a roadmap, a perfect roadmap.
We start with book 1, When the Body Speaks of Love and Loss.
Okay, so this is the baseline, the silence. Raina is carrying these massive secrets about a family member. We're keeping the spoiler free, so we'll just call him the predator.
Right.
But in this book, she isn't saying it. She's holding it. Her body, though. Her body is speaking.
In symptoms, in anxiety.
In flinching. Exactly. It's that stage where you're trying to act normal, but your biology is just betraying you.
Then we get to book 2, When the Body Remembers. This feels like the volatile middle chapter.
This is the hardest part of the journey. In therapy, this is often where people want to quit
Hmm.
because the repression breaks. The
Right.
borrowed skin starts to burn.
The memories force their way out.
Right. It's chaotic, but it's so necessary. You can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge.
Which sets up the big pivot in Book 3, when the body finds its voice.
And just notice that shift from internal to external. Book 2 is all internal chaos. Book 3 is external testimony. There's this incredibly powerful element in this book where Raina uses dance as a form of truth-telling.
She performs the truth.
In a way, yes. There's a scene involving a performance that acts as a public declaration.
Right.
She moves from being a victim, so many things happen, to being a witness, someone who testifies. That shift is everything.
And finally, the resolution, Book 4, when the body stands.
And I really want us to look at that verb, stands.
It's so simple.
Deceptively simple. It doesn't say when the body is healed. It doesn't say when the body forgets. It says stands.
Because standing is work.
Because standing is an active decision against gravity, right?
Yeah.
The message here is that healing doesn't mean the scars are gone. It means you have made the decision to remain upright despite the weight.
Wow. That reminds me of a quote from the source material that I circled like 3 times. Joy is not the absence of what hurt me. It is the decision to live anyway.
That is the core philosophy of this entire work. Resilience isn't about being unbroken. It's about endurance. It's about refusing to disappear. That is earned joy.
No, we have to be very careful here. This is a celebration, so we are strictly spoiler-free. We are not naming the specific family member, the predator.
No way.
And we are definitely not spoiling the twists in Book 4 regarding Jonas or Raven.
Absolutely not. The plot twists are there. They are gripping. But today is about the emotional arc. We want you to experience those shocks for yourself.
But we can talk about how Raina survives, because one of the biggest takeaways for me was that the whole lone wolf hero trope, it just doesn't exist in this universe.
No. And thank goodness. That trope is so dangerous in the context of trauma. In Borrowed Brown Skin, isolation is the enemy. Raina literally cannot survive without her village.
And this village, it's not just some generic group of friends. They are so vivid. You've got Laren, Dawn, Daniel, Lala, and the twins.
Oh, the twins? Unique and Monique. They're a force of nature.
They really are. But I want to talk about the function of this group. They aren't just there to grab drinks and gossip.
No, they operate almost like a tactical unit. I call it service through sisterhood.
What does that look like in the text?
It's so practical. It's not just sending a text saying, hope you're okay. It's showing up. When Raina's in the pit, the village takes over. They monitor her social media so she doesn't have to see the hate comments.
That is huge. A digital shield.
Exactly. They bring food and make sure she actually swallows it. They literally sit in the dark with her. They form a human barrier between her and the world when her own skin is too raw to be touched.
It's that grown folks support. It's realizing that sometimes your friend can't ask for help, so you just have to step in and do it.
We're not asking, we're doing.
Yeah.
That's the energy. But, and this is a really critical but, the books make a distinction between the village and professional help.
Enter Dr. Bambade.
Pronounced Bumbody. Yes.
Why is she so important? I mean, if you have this amazing group of friends, why do you need Dr. Bambade?
Because friends offer love, but Dr. Bambade offers tools. There's a huge difference between venting and healing.
Yeah.
The books make a very important point here. The love of friends is vital. It keeps you warm, but sometimes you need a clinical professional to help you rewire the house. Dr. Bambade helps distinguish between just coping, just surviving the day and actually thriving.
So the lesson is, get you a village, but also get you a therapist.
You need both, the warm hug and the cold truth.
Speaking of things that might feel a little cold, or at least mysterious, we have to talk about the other layer of this village, the ones who aren't. Well, breathing.
The Watchers.
Yes, the hooded figures at the property line, Vincent and Marcus. Now, when I first read about this, I thought, oh no, is this a ghost story? Is she being haunted on top of everything else?
It's not a haunting in the horror sense. It's more like spiritual realism. It's ancestral protection.
Explain that. Who are they?
They represent the generational line. They appear when Raina is at her most vulnerable, usually right on the edge of her property. They aren't there to scare her. They're standing guard. They are the bouncers of the spirit world.
That image just gives me chills. The idea that your ancestors are physically manifesting to ensure you aren't fighting alone.
And it connects right back to that borrowed brown skin idea. If you inherit the trauma of your ancestors, the books argue that you also inherit their strength. you inherit their protection,
So even when the legal system fails her, or her family fails her,
which they do. The ancestors, Vincent and Marcus, are standing watch.
it adds such a rich texture. It acknowledges that there are forces we can't see, but that doesn't mean they aren't active.
Exactly. It anchors the story in a reality that is bigger than just the physical world. And that blend of the spiritual and the practical really defines Nairi's voice, which is a perfect lead-in to the companion piece.
The poetry book, What I Could Not Hold.
Yes.
I find this structurally fascinating. Why release a poetry book alongside 4 novels? Usually it's one or the other.
Because the poems are the source code. Remember, she started writing at 11. These poems span 40 years. They are the raw data that the novels were built on.
There's a philosophy in the book that I think defines the whole project. We write to remember, we dance to forget.
That duality again. Writing is the act of documenting. It's the witness. It says this happened. Dancing is this somatic release. It's shaking the trauma out of the muscles so you can keep moving. You need both.
I want to drill down on a specific section in the poetry book called On Craft. She breaks down how she writes, and she talks about repurposing lines. She calls it a form of alchemy.
This is a masterclass for any creative person listening. She talks about taking a line written in a moment of absolute pain and reclaiming it for joy.
The example she gives is the line, eyes shut tightly.
Right. So in the context of abuse, eyes shut tightly is about fear. It's a child trying to disappear. It's a defense mechanism.
And then she flips it.
She steals it back. In the novels, or in later poems, Eyes Shut Tightly becomes about savoring a moment of peace, or deep intimacy, or prayer.
So she's literally rewriting the dictionary of her own life.
She's stripping the trigger of its power. She's saying, this phrase doesn't belong to the predator anymore. It belongs to me. It's a linguistic version of reclaiming that borrowed skin.
That is just incredibly empowering. It suggests that we aren't just victims of our history. We can be editors of it.
We can edit the meaning, if not the events. And that brings us right back to Raina's journey, from silence to standing. We watch her go from someone whose body is a cage of secrets to someone who stands up in a courtroom, on a stage, and says, I am here.
And the cost of that is high. The books do not shy away from that. No, they don't. And that's why this is a grown folks conversation. Right. Nairi doesn't pretend that telling the truth fixes everything instantly. You lose people. Family takes sides. The system attacks you.
But the alternative silence is worse.
That's the realization Raina has. Silence protects the monsters. And she decides she's done being their security guard. And that's the whole pivot. It's why standing in Book 4 feels so victorious. She's standing amidst the wreckage, but she is free. I want to circle back to the birthday aspect of this. We're celebrating Nairi's 53rd birthday and framing these books as her gift to the world.
It really is a gift.
Yeah.
You know, at 53, you have lived enough life to know that neat fairy tale endings are rare. You know that survival is messy. By putting these books out now, Nairi is saying, I am still here.
She is offering a roadmap.
A roadmap to other people who might be sitting in that silence. She's saying, look, I made it through, and here's how I did it. I used my village. I used my art. I used my ancestors.
And she's inviting the reader to do the same, to look at their own borrowed skin and decide what they want to keep and what they want to return.
It really forces you to ask, who is in my village?
And maybe deeper than that, are you letting them help?
Oof, that's the hard one, isn't it? Raina had to learn to drop that strong black woman armor and allow herself to be held. She had to let the twins bring the food. She had to let Dr. Bombay do the work.
She had to let the Watchers stand guard. Because you can't stand if you're exhausted from holding up the world by yourself.
Exactly. Trauma isolates. The village connects. That is the lesson.
So as we wrap up, we're looking at a body of work that is raw, lyrical, and ultimately just triumphant. Nairi D. McQueen Edwards has created a world that feels so real because it's built on the bones of real experience.
She really has. She's taken the silence and turned it into a story. And not just a sad story, but a story of power.
So to Nairi, on your 53rd birthday, happy birthday. Thank you for Raina. Thank you for the village.
And thank you for showing us that we can write to remember and dance to forget. Still standing is a beautiful thing to be.
And to you, listening, maybe think about that concept of the village today. Think about who is standing guard at your property line, visible or invisible. Who's bringing you the food?
And if you're the one currently standing in the dark, just remember that staying upright is a revolutionary act all by itself.
Just breathe.
4 in, 4 out.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.